Are you interested in helping your community stay safe during inclement weather? Stick around, I'm going to teach you about becoming a weather spotter. Welcome back to part 2 of this 3-part series of becoming a Skywarn weather spotter for the National Weather Service. In the last video, we went through the introduction, what the spotter program is, and started a little bit of the history. And now we're going to talk about the history in the 3rd part. Be sure and follow up with that, because that'll finish everything you need to take the quiz and become that official weather spotter. So 1965 Elkhart tornadoes. April 11th, 1965 was one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks in the United States history. At this time, what once had been a thriving spotter network had dwindled due to budget cutbacks, so less money, and reduced recruiting and training. This deadly event spurred National Weather Service efforts to expand the spotter network.
Back when the Palm Sunday tornadoes occurred in 1965, I had been with the Spotter Network for several years at that point. Tornadoes interested me ever since I was a kid on the family farm. Sue and I lived in Dunlap, Indiana, up in Elkhart County. The day was kind of ordinary. Perhaps it was a bit humid for that time of year. We went to church. It was Palm Sunday. And then we had lunch with the Jacobsons. Later that evening, Sue was inside listening to the radio, and I went back out to work on the fence. I saw eerie, steely gray clouds heading toward us from the southwest. Clouds seemed to be falling out of the sky as I watched. Perhaps I was imagining it, but as it got closer, the sky was turning green. I never seen anything like that. It was almost out of another world. I haven't seen anything like it since. I headed back toward the house. Sue met me on the porch, and boy, she was in a fit. "Henry, the man on the radio said a tornado is heading our way, and we should get inside."
All right, what should Henry and Sue have done next? It says select the best answer. It's always good to read all the answers. Stay outside and watch the skies in case they needed to make a spotter report. I don't agree with that. You want to go inside when it's dangerous weather. Move to a safer location like their basement or a storm shelter. I think that's a great answer, but let's read the rest. Call their friends across town to see if they saw a tornado. They could do that once they're in the safe location. Drive a short distance from their house to see if they could see the tornado. That would be dangerous, and you want to do what is safe. So move to a safer location like their basement or a storm shelter. And they agree.
I would be caught dead outside with a storm like that heading toward me. Like I said, I'd never really seen anything like that before in my life. We spent the next hour in the dark, listening to the wind thrash our house and the rain pounding. We never really knew whether it was a tornado or not. Couldn't do anything about it anyway. We listened to boards cracking and glass shattering, and we just prayed for our lives in the basement. We had some damage, but the storm must have passed north of us. We were lucky. The houses up north were devastated. Later, we heard that a second tornado had moved through the area that night. Our friends lost everything, including their son.
Tornadoes can be very, very dangerous. If you live in the United States, we get some of the most tornadoes out of anywhere in the world. It's not something to be overly worried about, but it's definitely something to know about, and that's why I want you to learn about this. Palm Sunday outbreak. April 11th, 1965 was one of the deadliest tornado outbreaks in United States history. 82 tornadoes were reported that day, and severe weather of some sort was reported in 14 states. 260 people were killed and more than 3,000 were injured. In one day, the tornadoes caused $1.19 billion in property damage. So it cost that much money to fix everything that the tornadoes broke. If you look at this map, These are all the different tornado tracks that they were able to at least prove that were there, and the strength of the tornadoes. Spotters reported the Elkhart tornado, no doubt saving lives, because if no one had known that there was a tornado, they wouldn't have known to go in their basements. If you don't have a basement, go to the lowermost level of your house and somewhere away from windows. I'll post a link in the description below to Ready.gov. They have a lot of really good information on how to be prepared for things like tornadoes or other types of weather events. Yet there were too few spotters for such a massive tornado outbreak. What once had been a thriving spotter network had dwindled due to budget cutbacks and reduced recruiting and training. At that time, radar coverage was sparse and Doppler radar was non-existent, so spotters were especially important in detecting tornadoes. The National Weather Service stepped up its spotter training and recruiting after this outbreak, which eventually led to the Skywarn spotter program in place today, which is what you are currently learning. How do you think the role of the spotter has changed over time? We're going to choose all that apply. The spotter program has not changed much since the 1940s. That is not true. New forms of communication have provided options for sending spotter reports to the National Weather Service. Definitely true. Deployment of Doppler radar across the United States has reduced the need for spotters. That is not true. They still need spotters. Better scientific understanding of weather events allows forecasters to better use spotter reports to warn the public. Definitely. Better access to weather data alerts spotters when they will be needed. Very true. And I'm an amateur radio operator, and something really cool that I can do and you can do as well, even not being an amateur radio operator, you can get a NOAA weather radio for your house. NOAA, N-O-A-A. And what you'll be able to do then is listen to the weather stations. So right now, it's a really bad reception because I'm in my basement. Now, I'm not sure how well you can hear that. If I had it on my antenna on my roof, I'd be able to hear it better. But it is a weather station that's always telling me the weather. And it actually says during that, weather spotter activation is needed. What that means is, will we need weather spotters? And so when it says weather spotter activation is needed for the night, so that's when I would want to pay particular attention to the weather and what's going on outside and report it to the National Weather Service. And let's check these answers. Awesome. It says spotters now have many options for sending reports to the National Weather Service. Doppler radar gives forecasters a better idea of where tornadoes might form, but spotters still play an important role in verifying tornadoes on the ground. The science of meteorology has grown as the role of the spotter in detecting phenomena beyond these associated with thunderstorms. Also, easier access to weather data and forecasts help spotters know when they have been activated by their local National Weather Service office. Spotters send their reports to individual National Weather Service weather forecast offices, which I'll refer to as WFOs from now on. There are 122 WFOs in the United States, including Puerto Rico and Guam. Each office is responsible for weather forecasts and issuing warnings. Your reports aid the warning process by telling the WFOs exactly what's going on in the field, which is also known as providing ground truth. Sometimes forecasters have some evidence of a tornado or other severe weather, but doubt lingers about what's actually going on. In the case of heavy rain and snow events, the amount of precipitation can vary quite a bit over an office's area of responsibility. If you become a spotter, your reports could help in the decision-making process to get warnings to the public and save lives. So if you live in an area where the tornado sirens go off every once in a while, the reason why they went off is because a spotter has seen it and reported it to the National Weather Service. Otherwise, I don't believe those sirens go off, other than when they're testing them. The National Weather Service creates many different products to inform the public about the potential for hazardous weather in their forecast area. Find them at weather.gov. Now, weather.gov is a great resource for weather information, and a lot of those weather apps and weather websites that you go to are actually receiving their information from weather.gov. Reporting procedures.
After meeting the spotter who reported the tornado near your house, you knew you could help your community the same way. The sky seems to draw your attention more now than ever before. You completed Skywarn spotter training through your local weather service office, but no hazardous weather has cropped up since. Your cell phone is burning a hole in your pocket as you wait to call the National Weather Service with a report. Today, you're at home working in the yard. Storm clouds have been building all around. You've heard an occasional rumble of thunder, but haven't seen lightning yet. The local NWS Hazardous Weather Outlook, which you read earlier, said that severe storms were expected to develop with tornadoes a possibility, and called for spotter activation today. So in reality, you've been doing more cloud watching than yard work.
When are you safe outside if you hear thunder? And it says choose the best answer. As long as you can't see lightning, when you are at least 2 miles away from the thunderstorm, when there is no warning issued, if there is no rain occurring, or you are not safe outside. And you are never safe outside when you hear thunder. Thunder is the sound that lightning makes. So if you hear thunder or you see lightning, that lightning could strike near you. It could strike you. It could damage something near you, thereby hurting you. You want to be inside when you hear thunder or see lightning.
If you can hear thunder, you can be struck by lightning. You should immediately move into a safe shelter and stay there for at least 30 minutes after the thunder stops. Remember, when thunder roars, go indoors. You are startled by a particularly loud clap of thunder. Strikes seem to be more frequent now, based on the increasing rumbles. The sky has been growing louder, and now you pinpoint the storm, which is doing most of the talking. The clouds have grown very tall over you, spreading out across the sky. According to your spotter training, you need to get inside to keep safe from the lightning. You throw all your tools in the wheelbarrow with a clink of metal and head for the garage. You hear the first raindrops hitting your patio and feel their cool, wet impacts on your bare skin. The smell of fresh rain rises from the ground. You have a good view of the upper tier of the storm from your garage. The slate-colored skies are getting closer. The squeak of the garage door announces your presence in the house. The rest of the family is in the living room watching TV. The familiar tone alert for NWS warnings echoes in your ears. Your children complain about the interruption, but you are thankful for the warning. Rushing to the living room, you ignore the groaning and ask your family to quiet down so you can hear the warning.
What information was most important in the warning? And so it said the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northeast Springfield County until 6:30 p.m. A severe thunderstorm, currently 6 miles southeast of Talbot, is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Frequent lightning, gusty winds, and quarter-sized hail have occurred with this storm. Severe thunderstorms can and often do produce tornadoes. People on the path of this storm should take cover in an interior room on the lowest floor of your house. So what information is most important in the warning? You definitely need to know the type of warning, the location of the storm, hazards associated with this storm, and actions you should take. So I'd say all of the above, and they agree.
You listen to the warning, keying into the main points. A severe thunderstorm warning. Storm 6 miles southwest of town. Spotter reported quarter-sized hail. It's moving northeast at 35 miles an hour. You decide to move your family to a safe location. Earlier, the NWS Outlook said it's possible you could see quarter-sized hail. You should prepare for that. You glance out your bay window at the storm. There's nothing like reality to put warnings in perspective. Moving to the hallway bathroom will keep you away from the windows. The rain is starting to pick up now. The hail's probably coming soon.
Did see, I think, a window in that bathroom, so I'm not sure if that would have been a safe place. Why is it important to move to a safe location in your house during a severe thunderstorm? Large hail could break windows. Very true. Hail storms are noisy on the exterior of the house. That's true, but that's not dangerous. Strong winds associated with the storm can break windows. Yes. Large hail is an indication of a severe thunderstorm, which can produce tornadoes. All right.
Large hail and strong winds can cause significant damage, including breaking windows. So don't stand in front of your windows watching the storm. Tornadoes can occur with severe thunderstorms, and larger hail size is an indication of how severe the storm is. Keep in mind that as valuable as your observations are to the NWS, your personal safety should be your first concern. It is possible that other spotters are better positioned to observe the storm safely. Spotters should not do anything that would jeopardize their safety or anyone else's. The winds gust higher, driving rain into your windows. The noise grows louder. Still no hail. Your phone beckons from the other room. You tell your family to let it ring. You need to stay in the bathroom in case the storm gets any worse. Your kids want to look outside, but you restrain them, knowing that the hail could start falling soon, or a tornado could emerge out of the storm because any severe thunderstorm has the possibility of dropping a tornado.
Sometimes there are severe thunderstorms at night. What I do with my family, if there's a severe thunderstorm coming, or I know there's a tornado watch coming, what we do is we sleep in the basement. We have a couple beds, the couches fold out into beds, and we sleep down there to be safe. I'm not sure why anyone would put themselves at risk going to sleep when especially spotters won't be able to see a tornado if it's coming at night. So sleeping in the basement or sleeping in that lowermost floor away from windows is a really good idea during really big thunderstorms.
The unmistakable noise of hail pounds on the exterior of your house. You wonder how your house is going to fare through this beating. The pounding hail continues for what seems like an eternity. You wonder when it will stop. Almost immediately, like the storm could read your mind, the beating crescendos, but eases. This isn't a sign that the hail is over, only a sign that the hail is likely increasing in size. Even if it ended, there's still no reason to leave the safety of the bathroom. Oftentimes, large hail diminishes or ceases right before the arrival of a tornado. You can't help but think about your poor vegetable garden. It's probably ruined. The power fails. Hopefully the house hasn't taken too much damage. You haven't heard any glass shattering, so it can't be too bad. After what was probably only another few minutes, the storm seems to be over. No hail, no rain. Still occasional thunder. The winds seem to be gasping now rather than gusting, while the patch of light in the hallway brightens again. You tell your family you know it's boring in here, but you need to give it a few more minutes since there still could be a tornado nearby or about to strike. You can handle a few more minutes. You turn on the NOAA weather radio and hear that the warning for your area has expired.
A severe thunderstorm currently 6 miles southeast of Talib. It is moving northeast at 35 miles per hour.
You decide it's safe to leave the bathroom. Entering the hallway, your family bursts into conversation. One of your sons cries, "Whoa, look at how much hail's out there. You can't even see the grass anymore." Your other son says, "Ooh, the neighbors won't be too happy about their car being out in that." You venture outside and take a few sample hailstones to measure, and then dial the local NWS office to report the hail. When the forecaster answers, you make your report.
Hello, my name is Jane Crystal, and I'm Weather Spotter 456. I'm at home near the intersection of Hill Street and Pottawatomie in Greendale. I want to report golf ball size hail that is completely covering the ground. The hail fell for about 8 minutes. It started around 6:11 p.m. No, nobody is hurt here. My number is 333-555-8723, and my name is Jane Crystal.
All right, there's 7 key components to include in your spotter report. Match each component to the text that you included in your report. So your name, this is her name. Location, where she is. Location of hazardous weather. And these are the same thing. Type of hazardous weather. I feel like it could be either of these, but I'm going with this because size is important when we're talking about hail. Time of hazardous weather. Duration of it. Contact information. Let's see what they think. And they agree with me. Awesome. says, in order to maximize the impact of your report, be sure to include the 7 key components. All right, hazardous weather reports aren't restricted to only hail and tornadoes. Which of the following could be reported by a spotter? We could definitely say storm-related damage and high winds, hail, tornadoes, flooding, heavy rain, snow totals, rip currents. That would be if you're by the ocean, how the water's moving. Very dangerous to swim in a rip tide. Freezing rain, dense fog, mudslides, avalanches. Well, but I feel like it's all of them. And they agree. You can report any weather event that occurs in your local area, but the National Weather Service is most interested in significant events. Your local National Weather Service office can provide a list of phenomena and criteria that are of greatest interest for their operations. You have seen that a spotter can report to the National Weather Service using a telephone or cell phone, but there are other ways to communicate your report to them as well. Here you can compare the methods and make the right choice for your situation. So feel free to pause the video right now, and you can read through these. I won't read through these for you. I apologize for my dog barking, if you can hear that. There are many ways to submit your report. Calling the National Weather Service directly is quick and easy. Also, if you're an amateur radio user and your local National Weather Service has a ham radio network they utilize, you can contact the National Weather Service. Now, if you are a ham radio, amateur radio operator, like I am, you know that takes a license. So you would have to pass a test, pay a fee, and then you would be able to become an amateur radio operator. Otherwise, you can't operate these radios without breaking federal law, and I don't want you getting in trouble. So don't do that. I will make another video on becoming a ham radio operator, an amateur radio operator. So keep your eyes peeled for that. All right, the Spotter Network website uses a computer interface that sends reports to the National Weather Service. They usually receive your report within a minute. eSpotter also has a computer interface where you can submit your reports. You can also use Twitter. Details can be found at that website. NPOP should be thought of as a last resort because it usually takes about 2 minutes to get through the phone tree before you can even make your report. Keep in mind that your local area may have unique preferences in how they receive spotter reports. And I'd say just contact your local National Weather Service office if you have questions on that. Once you pass the test, though. Which of the following methods of communicating your report requires a license? It's definitely the amateur radio. Amateur radio requires a license, but can be a very effective way to communicate your report to the National Weather Service. During severe weather, National Weather Service offices often have personnel dedicated to monitoring amateur radio. For instance, in my area, when spotter activation has been called, I get on my local repeater on my amateur radio. It's called KC9 OEM, and they hold a communication net. And we share what we're seeing with the weather, and the National Weather Service actually gets on there and takes our information directly. So it's pretty cool. It's a good way to provide a community service and keep people safe as a weather spotter. Regardless of how you send it, your report goes directly to the National Weather Service. The forecasters there use your report when issuing warnings or verifying severe weather conditions and give more detail to the public about the current situation. Your report is received by the National Weather Service and is put into a preliminary local storm report and transmitted via the web to the media, which includes print, radio, television, internet news sites, and blogs. The media uses this LSR, the local storm report, during the event to report what is being observed and after the event in summaries of what occurred. So what might you see or hear reference? Where might you see or hear reference to your spotter report? In the National Weather Service warning, on the news, the radio, the internet, newspaper, all of them. They probably wouldn't use your name, but they'd say a spotter told us of the tornado, which is pretty cool. Once your report is received, the National Weather Service uses it directly in developing warning statements for the public if warnings are not already issued. These statements are disseminated directly to the public, emergency managers, and other local government agencies and news media. Many people hear about warnings through local TV and radio stations. However, these warnings are produced by the National Weather Service. In this way, everyone receives the same warning information. Damage reports from spotters are often reported in newspapers after the event. All right, so this ends part 2. Stick around, check out part 3 the last part, and then you will be able to pass that quiz and become an official weather spotter. Thanks for dedicating your time to this. I think it's awesome that you're doing it, and keep up the great work. See you guys.